night, Chicago Bears and Green Bay Packers played, and you saw players linking arms along with fans as well. This means the second week the NFL will be seeing some form of protest at their NFL games. The question is, will we see players linking arms, or will we see more players taking a knee? Remember, focusing on the issue of police brutality, which has been lost in all of this conversation. But then again, it's a lot of people who never wanted to deal with that in the first place. Also, April Ryan yesterday questioned Sarah Huckabee Sanders at the White House about this particular issue, and let's just say it got a little heated.
Many NFL players are very upset. Many people had different ideas and opinions on this, but when the president weighed in, the NFL said we're going to be united. There is an anticipation that it could grow even more so this weekend. What is the president anticipating? What should we expect him to say about this? It's now the NFL against the president.
I think the president's made very clear this shouldn't be about the NFL being against the president. This should be about our country coming together to support the flag, support the national anthem. There's nothing wrong with having pride in the United States. This president's been very clear on that, and he's certainly not going to back away from it.
Okay, so the NFL players, what we're hearing, it's not about not having pride. They're saying they're patriots, they love this country, but they're challenging the system, and they're looking at history like the challenge of the system when it came to women's rights issues as well as civil rights. What does the president say when you look at history and see how people love this country but wanted to challenge the system to make it better?
I think if we're going to look at history, we should look at the thousands of Americans who have given their life to protect that flag, to protect that anthem. We should be celebrating those people. I gave you a chance to answer. I'm going to finish your statement.
Last I checked, people actually fought to protect the Constitution and the American way of life. But I'll deal with that in a second. I talked about last night's game. No one took a knee during the Green Bay Packers Chicago Bears game, but both players did lock arms. On Wednesday, the Panthers released a statement in which they asked fans to join the team in locking arms. Some did, but most didn't. Several hours before the game, Trump took another swipe at players and team owners in an interview with Where Else? Fox News.
Well, I have so many friends that are owners, and they're in a box. I mean, I've spoken to a couple of them. They say, we are in a situation where we have to do something. I think they're afraid of their players, you want to know the truth, and I think it's disgraceful.
That's pretty stupid. Reaction as well as retaliation is ongoing. Sunday, defensive tackle Akeem Spence of the Detroit Lions, he kneeled during the anthem. Well, yesterday he tweeted, "Got some awful news from my father. A contractor denied giving him a job on doing a house because of my peaceful protest." There's also blowback in Baltimore, where over 53,000 people have signed a petition to have the Ray Lewis statue removed from outside the Ravens Stadium. Many fans are angry that the retired linebacker knelt with some of the team's players before a game in London on Sunday. Lewis, who has been critical of Colin Kaepernick's kneel downs, has said he was not protesting but praying. Now, while protests haven't yet occurred in the National Hockey League, at least one of the sport's black players is speaking out on the issue. Joel Ward of the San Jose Sharks says he won't be kneeling during the anthem because he believes the issue about which players were originally protesting, which is police brutality, have been lost in this current debate. In explaining his decision, he said this, quote, "As a black man, I have experienced racism both inside and outside of the sporting world. Make no mistake that racism exists and that people of color are treated differently on a day-to-day basis." He went on to say that he had immense respect for players across the sporting world that have attempted to peacefully bring attention to racial inequality and injustice. Now, another result of this whole controversy is a fresh call out of Donald Trump on the issue of race. Congressional Black Caucus Chair Cedric Richmond sent a blistering letter to Trump that said, quote, "In part, I write today to express my utter disgust with your handling of race relations in America in general, and more specifically, your calculated, divisive response to nationwide demonstrations against police brutality and racial injustice by professional football players, owners, coaches, and countless other patriots. African Americans are just as patriotic as any other American. We have fought in every war from the American Revolution to Iraq and Afghanistan, only to come home to a country that has yet to reconcile deep-seated issues of race, inequality, and injustice." Richard's letter goes on to say, "As President of the United States, your use of profane, sexually derogatory language in addressing American citizens or anyone for that matter, is unbecoming of the office you now hold. Moreover, your complete lack of understanding of or empathy for the very painful history and substantive policy concerns that move people like Colin Kaepernick to take a stand or a knee in the first place is a reminder of all the African American community has to lose under your administration. Along with that letter, Richmond resubmitted a 130-page document outlining policy proposals to address issues facing Black America that the CBC first submitted to Trump during their meeting with him in March. Let's talk about it. Derek Holley, president of Reaching America, member of Project 21, a conservative organization. Brandon Cooper, chairman of the Prince George's County Republican Party. Amber J. Phillips, co-host of Black Joy Mixtape podcast. Cleo Monago, cultural and behavioral health analyst. So Derek, Project 21 released a letter critical of these protests and the players. And here's what's still interesting. Donald Trump, and please show me the evidence. Okay. Where has Donald Trump specifically criticized police brutality and called for cops to engage in better law enforcement, which is the reason Colin Kaepernick and these players are protesting?
But the thing about it is, I think that message, that narrative has been lost as you read all those
Who's
inserts.
been lost by?
It's been lost by the media. I mean, all the protests right now is about the flag and the national anthem. It's no longer about police brutality. What Colin Kaepernick initially talked about was criminal justice reform, racial inequalities, those kind of things. But all that narrative has been lost.
So it's the media's fault?
I would say I think we need to refocus the attention in terms of what this whole movement is about.
So here's my question. I've looked at every single statement from Donald Trump.
Sure. Okay.
He's never mentioned any of these issues. In fact, in every single statement, I have not heard Donald Trump even acknowledge that the reason they are protesting is police brutality. I have not heard the critics from day one, okay, when he began this, the critics of him protesting, period, did not want to acknowledge, not media, his critics. They immediately shifted this to the flag and the anthem.
Who shifted it, though? That's the question.
His critics.
His critics or the media itself?
His critics.
Because here's the thing, Roland, right now these guys are protesting. They have an opportunity. I said this, I actually texted one of my fraternity brothers, works for the Seahawks. I said, bro, we have a chance right now to carpe diem, seize this moment, this opportunity. Take this while you have the attention of the United States watching these players. What's the end game? Okay, what are we going to do? We can protest all day.
You asked him, what's the end game?
What's the end game? The end game needs to be some criminal justice reform.
No, wait.
Let's take that right now and make that happen.
Did Project 21, in the letter y'all released, did you mention the 10-page memo that they submitted last week?
Yes.
They laid it out. Pull it up, please. Let's pull the graphic up. For folks who don't know, first of all, those of you who watch this show, you do know because we talked about it. Okay. Not Sean Hannity, not the rest of them. We talked about it. The NFL players released a 10-page memo to Roger Goodell where they detail in very explicit language what it is they wanted to see. It was sent to Goodell and Troy Vincent, Executive Vice President of the league, Malcolm Jenkins, Anquan Bolden, you had Tommy Smith, you had Michael Bennett. They laid it out there. Trump has never referenced this. The congressional members who have criticized this have never referenced this. Pull it up, please. They said, point, police accountability and training, bail reform, criminalizing poverty, drug crimes reform, juvenile justice reform, excessive sentencing. Okay. Again, they've laid it out.
They've laid it out. Have they presented to the president? That's the question. Who? They laid it out to Roger Goodell.
Wait a minute. They also made it public. So here's the deal. Trump can't read. Sarah Huckabee Sanders can't read. Can anybody? No. Can anybody in the White House use Google? Can anybody? Because here's the deal. If I'm going to stand there and criticize them, can I not at least acknowledge that, yes, indeed, these players have done it? I was Tucker Carlson on Tuesday night on Fox News, the favorite channel of President Trump, said these players have said nothing. There have been no comments. They haven't even spoken out on this. Lou Holtz was on his show, said the exact same thing. They've said nothing. Sean Hannity running his mouth. So the president's favorite channel has totally ignored, except Shepard Smith, and I even tweeted Tucker, why don't you call Shepard? He can explain to you. So the White House won't even acknowledge any of this, But maybe that's because the same White House has Jeff Sessions as Attorney General, who wanted to pull the consent decree in Baltimore, who wanted to pull the consent decree in Chicago. The same Jeff Sessions who will not say to white law enforcement, we need to deal with the issue of police brutality, but when he spoke at Noble, the black law enforcement group, all of a sudden he wants to acknowledge, yeah, we kind of might have some issues with police. So maybe the problem is not they can't read, maybe the problem is the Trump administration doesn't care about these issues.
But that's the thing, Roland. We have a chance right now to take advantage of this situation. Let's continue to push this issue right now. Let's get it to the White House. Let's make the president address this particular issue.
So has Project 20, okay, well, here's a piece. You released the letter. Has Project 21 released a letter saying to the president, we want to meet with you and your administration specifically on the issues these players outlined?
Let's make this happen.
No. I'm
going to make it happen.
I'm not in Project 21.
I'm going to make it with Project 21 to make this happen.
Okay, so
I'm actually taking the lead on some other initiatives with the players. So perhaps we will have this meeting.
Okay.
At this point, we're going to go on record to have this meeting.
So
something needs to happen.
So you're saying that Project 21 will seek out to the White House a meeting with the president to specifically take the 10-page memo of these players and want the president to address.
Absolutely, because it's an opportunity right now. Turn this situation into an opportunity to correct some of the wrongdoings that this country has done to African Americans as it relates to criminal justice reform right now.
Now, Brandon knows this because we've discussed this on this show many times when issues have come up, and I've challenged black conservatives to say, look, don't just say I individually don't agree with this, because, again, that's what I've always gotten.
Sure.
I've been still waiting.
You got two of us on the side now.
No. Hold on. Wait. But I'm still check with you.
Yeah.
Because remember, last time we were on this show, I talked about black conservatives collectively coming together to specifically call out the RNC on the issues of voter suppression. Has that happened?
And again, collective, I guess, is your definition of the word. Yes, they've all.
No.
There's not been a press
Brandon,
conference.
you know what I mean by collective.
Yeah, no.
Has black hold on.
I have a question.
Just like church.
Hold on. I want to start this conversation.
Hold on. I need him to answer the question. Then you can jump in.
No, my question is this, though. I think you're in a straw argument. I really do, Roland. Give me 2 seconds without you interrupting me. We got a 2-hour show, so don't interrupt me in this.
Straw argument?
Let me go.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. So I have a question. Tell me when the collective of Democrats came out and talked about the fact that right here in this building right here, they can't seem to hire any black folk. Has a collective of Democrats come out and done that? Yes or no?
Yes.
Wait.
Hold on. Stop. Allow me to answer your question. Excuse me. Since you want to go there?
I'm going there.
The Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. Excuse me. Allow me to finish.
Yes, sir. Yes.
The Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies pulled together others and specifically called out Democrats and said you should implement a Rooney rule to hire more African Americans. And when this individual spoke to the New York Black and Puerto Rican Caucus as their keynote speaker, when Senator Chuck Schumer was there as well, he got word that I was going to address this issue in my speech. And before I spoke, Senator Chuck Schumer stood before them and said, next week the Democrats will install a rule that we will require for African Americans to be interviewed in top 4 positions, and the following week the rules were put in place.
Yes,
Hold on, Brandon. And so there were a collective.
That was you by yourself.
No, it was not me.
A nonpartisan.
No. Brandon, allow me to finish, Brandon.
The Joint Center is nonpartisan. It's not a Democrat organization.
Brandon, you didn't hear what I said.
It's not a Democrat organization.
That was one of the
Where's
groups.
the collective of Democrats calling out the overt racism in this building? No, you didn't answer the question.
That's nice deflection.
A nonpartisan organization. Where's collective Democrats?
Cleo, go ahead.
Now that this issue between the Democrats and Republicans, well, the Republicats and the Democrats, whatever you guys are, making a difference to me, but the question has been successfully deflected. He's asking about black Republicans.
I said no. That's the first thing I said.
Coming together.
That's the first thing I said.
And the question, the question which has been asked before, which is why do these physically black, biologically black, legally black folks who are claim to care about black people have a difficult time coming together as a collective in front of their president?
Are you not a collective of black conservatives?
Resist white supremacy and racism.
Are you not a collective? Project 21? How many black conservatives you have in your organization?
Several in there. And we want to address this issue. Are the Democrats doing anything right now to address this issue?
Oh, why are you asking me? I'm not a Democrat.
What you're doing right now?
The Capitol building right here.
Time out 1 second.
What are we doing right now?
Specifically what issue?
Right.
This
the issue that we're addressing right now.
Criminal justice reform?
No, let's not talk about criminal justice reform.
No, but
we're talking about the NFL right now. We're talking about the NFL, right? Is the Democrats doing anything to address the issue?
I just sat here and read a letter from the chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus, a Democrat from New Orleans, who represents.
Roland.
Excuse me. Hold on. Stop. Let me give you some information so you don't make a mistake and get embarrassed.
I'm not.
Who is the
Roland?
No,
He's addressed.
Stop 1 second.
Okay.
Who has the largest caucus in the Democratic caucus in the House?
Why has he not gone and met with the president?
They met with him in March.
Why hasn't he gone back to him?
I'm sorry, Eric, do me a favor.
When has he not gone back to
Eric,
it?
do me a favor. I need you to pull up again.
Roland,
George, let me read it for you.
There's also been requests to go back and meet at the White House.
You just asked why haven't they met with him? They did.
Back in March. And then
Stop. That's supposed to be. 1 second. One second. That was supposed to be a second meeting. And what they said is, allow me to finish to answer your question.
Yes, sir.
They said, you have done nothing to address a single issue that we presented in a 130-page document. And they said, why are we going to waste time for another photo op? That's second. But again, thirdly, there's a criminal justice reform bill that was put before in the last Senate. Guess who blocked it? Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas.
Who wrote it?
He blocked it. Secondly, who is blocking even a hearing on the bill in the House?
Who wrote the bill?
Who is blocking?
2015 bill?
Answer the question.
Is that what we're talking about?
Who won't
wrote the bill?
even have a hearing? It was a bipartisan effort.
It was not. The 2015 bill?
What? The criminal justice reform bill
of 2015 was written and introduced by Chuck Grassley, Senator
And who did it? Who was the co-sponsor of it?
The co-sponsor was the guy out of Virginia.
It was Cory Booker from New Jersey.
He was one of the co-sponsors.
He was the main co-sponsor. They had a news conference together. But 1 second. Who, again, criminal justice reform.
Sure.
Who in the House refuses to even allow a hearing? Meaning a hearing, a discussion.
Yeah, which is not happening right now.
Bob Goodlatte from Virginia.
Bob Goodlatte was the one who co-authored that bill.
No,
yes,
he won't even have a hearing. Bruh, we at the NAACP has protested.
I read this
No. They have protested in his office. I spoke to the Virginia State Conference of the NAACP. Bob Goodlatte won't even allow a hearing. I can roll the tape.
He co-authored that bill, though.
My God.
Roland.
This is my point.
This is
my point. Republicans are in control. Republicans are in control of the House and the Senate.
That's correct.
The criminal justice reform bill that was bipartisan, they won't even have a hearing. Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas said we are not putting enough people in prison. Amber, go ahead.
I think y'all need another outlet. Clear football is in.
Y'all need another outlet. I don't ignore facts.
You're right. Maybe y'all need to watch tennis. I don't know what's going on. But I'm really hoping that, of course, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on both sides around criminal justice reform. Yeah. Here we are having a protest, and really why a lot of the meaning is being lost is because people waited a full year before they participated and supported their brother Colin. So from then to now, and then it is okay for tactics to shift direction. He started off taking a kneel for criminal justice reform and police brutality, and now is starting to be a call out of the NFL's response to people exercising their First Amendment right, which is what we're trying to avoid talking about, because when we start to have that conversation, we can then link the NFL protesters, the NFL players, push back to them, to the fact that we've been pushing back on protesters on the street.
Hold tight 1 second.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.